Hi guys, you're welcome to another tutorial. Now today we'll be learning how to make a corset blouse with asymmetric lines. Now the front part has three parts, like three demarcation, then the back also have three demarcation aside the cup that is also a three-part corset. Now this is the outcome of the blouse when I finish sewing it. Now it is a skirt and blouse. Yeah, so when you finish sewing the blouse and your client wear it, you will now wear the skirt on it. That is what is trending right now. She wanted a different type of sleeve from the one on the thumbnail, and she also asked me to use the sequin, to cover the bust area. She's so happy with the results. Let's get started with this tutorial. So the first thing is we'll be drafting the upper part, and I normally mark 1 to half inch for my starting line. So from that point we'll start drafting. So I went ahead to mark the shoulder and all the vertical measurements. The underbust is 15.5, the breast point is 12, our waist length is 17.5. Then I'm going to repeat the line so I can square up the lines. Now, even though it's a tube top, I normally start from the basic, from the starting point, so that for those that might want to put a yoke, to their corset, if you want to add a yoke to it, so you guys will understand. That is where I'm starting from the beginning. That's from the shoulder. Then the next thing is I put the nipple to nipple measurements, and how I normally get it is your round bust divided by 8 minus 0.75. So for this client it is 4.75, and I'm going to connect it that way. Then the next thing is, because it is a shoulder dart, I am going up by 1.5 inches from the breast point, and I'm also going to put the nipple to nipple measurement on that line. Then I'm just going to square it a little. Then for our neck width and neck depth, I'm going to be using the basic 3x3 standard, even though I'm not using it, but for you also to understand. Then on the shoulder slant, I went down by 1.5 inches and I connected it to the neck width. Then after that, I'm going to divide what is left between the neck width and the shoulder. Whatever you have left for yours, divide it by 2. Then you are going to connect it. Then before you connect, I'm using 1.5 inches on both sides for this shoulder dart. That is 3 inches for the shoulder dart. Then I'm going to connect to that 1.5 I went up from the breast point. I hope you understand. That is because it is a bust above 40, you use 3 inches. Now I'm going to close the dart so I can measure my shoulder properly, because you can't just cut it like that, your shoulder will get short. So this is me measuring the shoulder. Can you see how I connect it? I make sure it is touching the 1.5 inches shoulder dart. Then I'm going to put the shoulder measurement of 8 inches. Now that we're done, from this shoulder dart, I went down by 8 inches because the 8 inches is around sleeve divided by 2. Around sleeve is 16. When I divide by 2, it is giving me 8 inches. So what we have is 1.25 above the chest line. So you can also do that if you did not measure your client's round sleeve. Just go up from your chest line by 1.5 or 1.25. Now that 8 inches, guys, I'm going to divide it by 3, because that will not serve as my chest line. So when I divided by 3, I think it was giving me 2.75. Then I went up from the chest line by what he gave me. Then I'm going to square up that line. That becomes our across chest for front. Then I'm going to put the across chest for the front. Now my client across chest for our front is 15. Then you replace that dart. You replace it back. Then on the chest line, I'm going to put the bust measurement divided by 4, and also on the breast point. Then I'm going to connect the 3 lines together. That is the shoulder, the across chest, and the bust measurement on the chest line. Guys, after that, we are going to put our dart now. Now I'm going to be using 1 inch dart on the under bust on both sides, and I'll connect it with my curve ruler to the breast points. I'm also going to connect the other side. Now for the other side, I reduce the curvy parts because we don't need much curve on that side. Then on the waistline, I also put 1 inch also. Then I connect it to the corresponding dots on the under bust. So guys, from the waist, I'm going to go down by 8 inches. That is our hip length, because this corset blouse, you normally extend downward so that when you wear it, you wear your skirt on top of it. Then I'm going to put the dart measurement also on the hip. That is the 4.75 I use, and I'm going to connect the 2 dart legs up to that point. On the waist, on the under bust, I put the waist measurement divided by 4. Then I added the darts of 2 inches. I did the same thing for the waist. Repeat the dart measurement. Now on the hip measurement, I put the hip measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to connect. But before I connect, I'm going to add sewing allowance of 1.5 inches, and I'm going to connect them. So guys, from the breast point, because it is a tube, I'm going up by 4 inches for the breast point. Automatically that is on the across chest line. Whatever yours gives you is what you will use. Now I'm just going to mark the middle of the shoulder dart so that I can share my overbust tightening very well. Do you understand? Now because I use 1 inch on both sides for my under bust, I'm going to use 1 inch also for the overbust tightening. So from the middle of that line that I mark, I took 1 inch, then I connect it to the breast point. So that means we use 2 inches in total to tighten the overbust, because the underbust and the waist is also 2 inches. From the breast point, guys, on the center front, I went up by 2.5 inches. Then I mark ½ inch. That is for the breast apart for our corset. Now I'm going to measure whatever my cup gives me, and I'll put the same measurement. It gave me 7.75. I'm going to measure the other side of the cup, and I'm going to check, because normally one is always longer than the other. So this is me indicating what he gave me. Then I took my curve ruler and I'm going to connect. Now like I said, I'm supposed to use ½ inch. I think I use 0.75, but I reduce it to half. Then I'm connecting it to the darts like that. I'm also going to connect just the way you see my hand moving, like an S-like shape. So I went ahead to take my curve ruler and I connect that way to the chest line. So we have the shape for our tube. So guys, in order to form our cup, from the main measurement on the chest line, I went in by 1.5 and I took my curve ruler and I connected it to the underbust. I'm going to do the same thing for the center front. Yeah. After that, now because it is an asymmetric corset line, from from the cup, I went out by 1 inch. Then from the side towards this down, I mark 3.5, and on the center front, I mark 6 inches. Now, if your client have a very big tummy like this fupa, that down tummy, you can do 7 inches so that it will snatch the tummy very well. But if your client does not have much tummy, 6 to 5 inches is okay. Then I'm going to connect it with my curve ruler. So guys, the asymmetric line that I did, I mark 2 inches on the hip line. Now after marking 2 inches on the hip line, now I'm going to place my ruler and I'm going to connect it that way to the chest line. So we have our third line. Then whatever line you create, you have to tighten it. So I went in by 1/2 inch on the waist length. Then I'm connecting it from the breast point that way to the 1/2 inch, then also to the 2 inches downward. You can see the way I connect. Now we have to close all the darts so we can draw the lines properly. So to tighten your down part so it will not be loose, I'm marking 0.25 on both sides of the first one. Then this other side is just one part. Then I'm connecting it to the corresponding dart, that is the waist length. Then I'm also going to connect this other one. Yes, so we have to close it up so we can roll our line, because the line is going to get short. So watch how I close on the waist length first, and then before you close the down part. Can you see that when I close it, we have broken lines? Then you take your curve ruler and you're going to roll it properly. Then after that, you can now cut it before you leave it. So when I cut, this is it. Now I just want to divide the paper, but before that, I'm going to be putting the shape of the 3-part corset. Now towards the center front, I mark 2.5 inches. On that point where you see my tape touching, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches because that place looks higher. Then on the side seam as well, towards the side seam area, I'm going to mark 2.2 inches. Then I'm connecting the 3 lines together. So it depends on whatever measurement of length you want to give your 3-part corset. Now this is me writing on my, because you have to label your corset, you label them. So then this other side is center front 2, then this one is center front 3, because if you don't label them, you might get confused where you want to sew. Now let's wrap the back. For shoulder dart tutorials, guys, it is better when you draft your front and back on the same paper. So I'm going to be extending the important lines, the chest line, the waist length, the across chest measurements. You can see I extended only 3. Now because the round sleeve measurement I use is 8 inches, from the chest line I'm going to go up by that 8 inches. So whatever your round sleeve gives you, you go up from your chest line by that measurement, and you are going to roll the line. Then because we use 1.5 inches for our shoulder slope initially, you're also going to mark the 1.5 inches from your chest line upward. That way I'm going to put the neck width and the neck depth. I'm using 1/3. Then I'm going to connect it with my curve ruler. After that, guys, on the across, okay, before the across chest, I'm going to put the shoulder measurement of 8 inches. You can see the way I slant my tape. That is how you slant yours. Then you connect from the neck width to the shoulder. Now on the across chest measurement, the front gave 7.5, the back is 16. So I went ahead to put it. Then on the chest line, I'm also going to put the round bust divided by 4. Then I add the sewing allowance. So I'm going to connect those 3 lines first. That's the shoulder to the across chest to the round bust measurement. So we have the armhole ready for both front and back. Guys, for our back dart, I'm using 5 inches. For the front is 4.75. For my back, I normally have add 0.25, making 5. Then I went down by that 8 inches for our hip length. So I'm going to put the dart measurement of 5 inches and also on the chest line. Then I'm going to rule it with a straight line. Then I went ahead to put that measurement of 0.75 on both sides. Then I connected it to the chest line and also to the dart on the hip measurement. After that, guys, I put the waist measurement divided by 4 plus the dart of 1.5. On the hip line, I put the hip measurement divided by 4, and I realized my paper is not enough. So I'm going to slit this pattern paper and add another paper there so I can roll my hip measurement. So after adding extra paper, I went ahead to mark my hip plus sewing allowance. Now on the waist length, I realized I did not add the sewing allowance, so I added it back. That's the waist plus your dart intake, then plus sewing allowance. Then I connect all the lines together. So guys, the same thing we did for the front. On the side seam, I came down by 3.5 inches. For the back, I mark 5 inches. You can use whatever I use for the front and the back, or you reduce the back. Now to get the third part of this back, aside the side seam, I divide what I have left. Watch, yeah, what I have left aside the side seam also on the waist, I divided it by 2. Then I'm just going to place my ruler and I'll roll it straight down. So we have the 3 parts. Then I'm also going to tighten this one also. I mark 1/2 inch on the waist and I connect all the lines. Now guys, I'm going to connect the down part. I'm going to roll it that way. Then for our back lacing, I use 1.5 on the chest line, on the waist and on the hip. But before I connect it, I'm just going to be tightening this back. So I went in by 0.75 first on the waist. Then I place my ruler and I connect it to the nape of the neck. That's the back neck depth. I also connect it to the hip measurement. Then after that, I'm now going to put the 1.5 inches I intended using for the lacing. Can you see what I'm doing? Then I'm going to connect the 3 lines together. So we have that part as our lacing. Now I'm going to also number this: center back 1, back 2, back 3, then I think we are almost done. So the same thing I did for the front, I'm also going to do for the back. This is me just folding and cutting. Now let's cut the back. So watch how I cut, guys, so you will not run a mistake. Now we are using the chest line as where our back is going to start from. So this is me removing all the dirt, and I'm indicating arrow to know that that is the upper part, and all this other arrow is also how you join them one after the other. So you join them on so that you will not go and sew a wrong part on the other side. Then this other part, I also write lacing towards that part because it can be tricky. So, and I also use the arrow to indicate. So it is very important. Just label your paper the way I'm labeling, so that when we are sewing, I'm going to also teach you how to place them. So we have the yoke for the back for those that want to put yoke on their corset. Now I went ahead to take the front part and let us cut the front. Now also watch how I'm cutting. Now I start cutting all the shapes. So the first cup is out. Then I went ahead to divide that 3 parts. Now I'm cutting from the other dart, cutting 8. Then I also cut out the shape, and I'm going to remove the cup, the second cup, then the asymmetric line. Also going to remove it. Then I went ahead to remove the asymmetric dart. So we have the 3 lines. So for the upper part, because it is a 3-part corset, you have to close the upper one, place the 2 together, and you close it, because you have to cut it in one piece when you want to sew, guys. Then for the yoke, can you see from the corresponding dart, that is the 1-inch dart, guys, you have to close them together. Yeah, you close them from one dart to the other dart, then blend it into the shoulder dart, because if you do not close it, your yoke will be bigger. Then I'm cutting the neckline and also the shoulder points and the armhole. So we have our yoke ready. Now this is it. I'm just going to be losing that upper part so I can just place them, because I want to snap this pattern. That is the reason why I lose it back. So thank you guys for watching, and the sewing part, we're going to add a 1/2-inch allowance all around it, aside the side seam where the pattern already has zone allowance, and I'm going to be cutting on the fabric. Now we're going to be sewing it in the next tutorial, because this video is already long. So guys, kindly give me a like, subscribe to my channel, and share this video if you find it very helpful, because this is what most fashion houses will pay heavily to learn. So I'll see you on next time.